Hey everybody, Brittany Haas here, Chief Adventure Officer with Alpenventures Unguided. We're going to talk today about hut-to-hut tours in the Alps, particularly what you need to bring with you on your hut-to-hut tour. So as you can see behind me, there's a hut here. This is the Heidelberger Hut. It's just on the Swiss-Austrian border, right just barely into Switzerland. What you're looking at down the valley behind me is actually Austria down there. So the huts, like this one, are the way that you overnight in the Alps when you're on a multi-day tour. If you're used to doing multi-day hiking tours in the US and Canada, somewhere where you have a little bit more wilderness, you're probably used to carrying your tent with you and your sleeping bag and all your food and your stove. In the Alps, backcountry camping is illegal throughout most of the Alps, and what they have instead are huts like this spread all over. Most of you have probably heard of the Tour du Mont Blanc, which is the most famous hut-to-hut tour, arguably, in the Alps. But it's not the only one. There are over 800 huts run by the Alpen clubs, the mountain clubs here in the Alps. And pretty much anywhere you're standing in the Alps, you're probably within 8 kilometers of a hut like this one. So the huts are kind of rustic mountain hotels. A lot of them have dormitory areas where you sleep on mattresses, large mattress rooms. Other ones have rooms in them where you have bunk beds or beds next to each other. Some have double rooms. It just depends on the hut that you're at. Some have warm showers like this hut does, some don't. So what you get there is usually very different. They also have a warm kitchen. And so hut-to-hut tours is really how you're going around and doing your multi-day tours in the Alps. It's great because you're not carrying the weight of your tent, your sleeping bag, or anything like that with you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go through what I have with me on this hut-to-hut tour and show you what you need to think about bringing along with you on your tour. So here I have everything that I brought with me on this hut tour. I'm going to start off by saying with the backpack, this is a 38-liter pack. I often carry a smaller pack, actually a 27-liter pack with me, so you really don't need to have a huge pack with you on a hut-to-hut tour. I'll go ahead and go straight here to this rain cover here. So one thing that makes the Alps as beautiful, actually a couple things that make the Alps as beautiful and wonderful as they are, is A, that they're very dramatic, they're very steep. B, they're very green, which means they might be a little bit more wet than what you might be used to depending on where you're coming from. So rain cover and a rain jacket are extremely important for you to have with you on your tour here in the Alps. You see that I have poles here. This comes with the steep part of the Alps. I did most of my early hiking in Colorado and Arizona in very dry environments, and here in the Alps the trails tend to be a little bit more slippery, a little bit more steep than what I started out my hiking life on. So I like to bring a couple poles with me whenever I go hiking in the Alps. In addition, I usually bring a down coat. It usually gets pretty cool at the huts in the evening. It's very rare that in a mountain hut that I want to sit outside without a jacket on in the evening at all. Actually, most people eat lunch, grab an afternoon drink out on the terrace in the afternoon, and then in the evening they head indoors and eat inside. So then I have my clothing with me here. I won't go through everything, depends on how long your hut tour is. I do tend to wash some things in the sinks along the way, so I don't have to carry too many clothing items. But one thing to keep in mind in the huts is when you're sleeping in a tent and you're backpacking, you can kind of get stinky for as many days as you want to. When you're in a hut in close quarters with other people, I usually try to stay a little bit more fresh than I would if I was staying in a tent. And a handy buff. I'm also wearing one. I'm a big fan of buffs. You can use them for layering around your neck or your head, and a lot of different functions with the buffs. Then we'll come on down here to food. So this is our food bag. The way the food works at the huts is typically when you book a hut, you're getting half pension, which is breakfast and dinner included. This doesn't work at all huts, but this is probably about 80% of the huts that Alpenventures works with. You have breakfast and dinner included in your booking. And then lunch, you're kind of on your own during the day. Some huts will offer the option for you to take a lunch packet with you throughout the day, but for the most part, we usually carry our snacks with us for lunch. So this is our food bag. We're on a 5-day hut-to-hut tour, and this is mainly our lunch and trail snacks, and then dinner and breakfast we're eating at the hut. So water, you can carry water however you want to. We prefer the platypus method. So I have owned Nalgene and Camelback bladders before, and they always broke after a year or two, and were very expensive. Platypus are a lot less expensive. You can get the hose attachment. You can switch from having a normal cap on it to a normal hose. It works out well. I like to carry 2.5 liters, but I drink water like a camel. So I would usually have about a 2-liter water carrying capacity. At the huts, to refill your bladder, sometimes the sinks aren't high enough, and so I like to carry a little 1/2-liter Nalgene bottle with me. A small water bottle would also work for you, but this way we can fill it up, keep it next to the bed in the evening if we get thirsty, and also use it to help fill up the platypuses. I get a lot of questions about water in the Alps and where you refill your water at. So you might notice right next to me is a stream. There is a lot of flowing water in the Alps. There are also a lot of cows in the Alps. So you're typically not taking your water out of the streams. The huts usually provide water. Sometimes you need to ask whether the water in the washrooms is drinking water or not. But you can get drinking water almost always at the huts. I always carry emergency water treatment tablets with me in my emergency kit. I've never needed to use them up to now in the Alps. Alright, so let's move over to something that's really important at the huts. This here is what you might call a sleeping bag liner. What we call here in the Alps a hut sleeping bag. So in the hut, with the beds, they do have bedding with it. That means pillows and blankets. But they don't wash them between every use, because for many huts it's just not practical. This hut has a road up to it, but it's still pretty remote, but many huts don't even have a road up to them. So what's required for everybody is that they bring their own hut sleeping bag liner or a sheet, and you sleep in this, in your own thing, underneath the other blanket. So this is an absolute must-have for any hut-to-hut tour. Another thing I highly recommend are some shoes to wear around the hut. So in the sleeping areas of the huts, there are no hiking boots allowed. And so typically you want to switch out and put on some sort of a sandal or house shoe while you're in, a slipper or something. Many of the huts, particularly in Switzerland, provide a great wall of different Crocs, different sizes for everybody, different shoes to wear around the house, and that's great, but not all of them do. And so I usually carry a super duper lightweight pair of flip-flops. It's not ideal because I usually wear socks in the evening, and well, you know how that is. But I carry these because they're lightweight and they're very practical. But a lightweight pair of Crocs or some pair of shoes to carry around the hut with you is highly recommended. One other thing that's really important to bring with you on the hut is cash. So this is our little travel wallet here, but most of the huts are not going to accept a credit card. So you want to make sure that you have enough cash and the right currency for you. Most of the huts in Switzerland will take other currencies, euro and dollar, but you might not get a very good exchange rate on it, and it's never a guarantee that they'll accept it. So then we'll come to toiletries. Pretty minimalist here. So toothbrush and toothpaste. Sunblock is really important. I always carry tissues with me. Deodorant I do not carry with me on backpacking trips, but on hut-to-hut tours when you're sitting in a hut close to other people, I usually like to not smell too much. So I usually bring the deodorant with me as well. And a small towel is very nice. Most of the times the bathrooms don't have towels in them. This is a very small packable hand towel. Some of the huts have showers, so you can also bring a small towel to use in the shower, but it's usually nice to have your own towel at the huts. Headlamp. So at the huts, in the rooms, if you're in a shared room, in a dormitory room with others, you might come in after dinner and there are already people in bed. So it's really nice to have your own headlamp already with you at dinner, so when you go back in the room you can find your stuff without having to distract everybody else. I particularly like a headlamp with the red light on it, so it's as little disturbing as possible. And this is our navigation device, also a satellite communication device, which you probably don't need to always be available in the mountains. But we are available for our customers when we're on tour, so we carry this with so we can text and email in case there are any issues. But some sort of a navigation device. What I don't have with me right now, which I left in the hut, is a map. Map is very important. The trails here in general are very well marked, sometimes almost too well marked, but it works a little bit different. You need to rather know the destination of where you're going rather than the trail number. The trail number might not always be marked on the sign, but the destination is. And then finally, emergency items, a knife, first aid kit. We have an emergency bivvy with us, and this is basically the rest of the 10 essentials. My water treatment is in here, fire starter is in here, some repair gear as well is in this bag. And that's really all you need to bring with you on a hut-to-hut hiking tour. Not nearly as much for those of you who are used to backpacking, so come on out to the Alps and enjoy running around in the mountains with a lightweight backpack. Thanks for watching. Have fun on your hut tour.